Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the awards ceremony, and thank you for joining us today. Very pleased to have you all here. We're going to have two parts to this awards ceremony. We're firstly going to award the SAAB medals. Every year we have 3 medals that are on offer to be awarded. And we're very pleased this year that we are able to award all 3 of them. And then once we've done that, I'll be handing over to the conference organizer, Dr. Madeleine Struwig, and she's going to announce the prize winners for the conference. Right, so if I could first get on with the medal awards, the SAAB medal awards. So the first of these is the SAAB Bronze Medal for Botany. And just to give you some background to it, the Bronze Medal is awarded for an outstanding PhD thesis in botany or plant sciences or a related discipline where the doctoral degree was awarded at a South African university. So in this instance, it's from July 2020 to June 2021. And what happens is that heads of schools are approached to nominate the most outstanding PhD thesis in their school. And then any nominated theses are adjudicated by a panel from a university which has no nominee in that particular year. This year we had 3 really outstanding nominations, and the panel had great difficulty in deciding on the best thesis. So I would like to thank Professor Craig Peter and his team from Rhodes for undertaking this challenging task and for making it a final decision. And so the final decision was, if I can call onto stage, the SAAB Bronze Medal winner for 2022, Daniel Zigila from UCT. So if Daniel is here, would he please come on stage? And also his supervisor, Mitama Mwasia, and Tony Kabur. Yay, well done, Daniel, and congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, your thesis is entitled Molecular Phylogenetics Taxonomy and Niche-Based Conservation Risk Assessment of Cesium. I think anyone who works on cesium deserves a medal, but you have managed to get the bronze. Congratulations to you. That's wonderful. Right, so I'm going to first, before you say a few words, I'm going to ask, I think it's Mitama who's going to talk on behalf of the supervisors, but if Tony wants to say a few words as well, that would be great. And then we'll ask you to respond.
Thank you very much, Glenis, and thank you to the committee that was doing the selections for honoring us with this award to Daniel. I have to say that I'm impressed. I've been nominating students for quite a number of years as HOD and as a supervisor, and I'm really glad that Daniel stood above the crowd this year. And more so for Daniel's work. Just to give you a bit of background shortly, Daniel started his PhD in January of 2017, and I had been corresponding with him about his work, and he told me he wanted to come. And then one morning I was told there's a visitor, and lo and behold, Daniel had rocked up at UCT, having traveled from through Abuja to Addis Ababa to Cape Town. And while he was waiting for me, he passed out and slept. And when I came out, I asked, so who is to see me? And I was told, that guy there. And that just perhaps summarizes the tenacity and the hard work of the man, that once he puts his mind into something, he does it 100%. And over 3 years, he was able to not only do a PhD where he reconstructed the phylogeny, sampling nearly 100 taxa, but also did taxonomic revision. Thankfully, this was before COVID. So he was able to not only study material from the herbaria in South Africa, but also spent about 3 months at Kew Gardens, and from it, do a reconstruction of the phylogeny, infer traits, do taxonomic revision, including revision of a section of Thesium, and in the process discovered and described over 5 species. This work, when the examiners saw it, you know, I was blown by their comments. A solid piece of work inferring the phylogeny of a third of the genus chapter being pleasant to read, scope of the study and methods have been clearly laid out, high quality taxonomic work. And this is a group for those who know Thesium and those who know Cape plants. Thesium will not be what you study. The flowers are small, it's hemiparasitic, they are barely having leaves, they are myrmecophorous, so they are complex biology. And Daniel was able to get his head down and focus to do field work, to do lab work, and to produce a PhD, which was exemplary in a 3-year period.
That's
and published that work. And in between, he had 3 papers published as part of his PhD. In between, to be part of the community, contributing to cruise activities in naming and finding rare species, to our teaching program, and basically being a pleasant member of the community. Well done, Daniel. We hope to see a lot more from you. Maybe Tony has got a word to take away from that.
I'll just add, Muthama, that Daniel sat in the student office right next to my office, and he also attended my journal clubs and all sorts of other lab activities. And I must say, Daniel has been an absolute pleasure to have around. He's been a fantastic member of the student group at UCT. He's contributed to teaching. He's been an active participant, been very popular with colleagues, and generally a real pleasure to have around. So thank you, Daniel, for being part of our lives, and well done.
Okay, lovely, thank you. So Daniel, over to you to say a few words. Can you switch on your microphone, Daniel? If you can't hear you.
Yeah, it's on now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you, Gladys, for the opportunity. This prestigious award. My journey at UCT was, to me, a great. And overall, to me, it was a great opportunity. How I arrived at UCT was also just an adventure. So my first admission was to go to New Zealand, but I couldn't go, and I decided to go to UCT because of I thought that could be the best place for my PhD. And on arrival, I met a very wonderful team, Muthama and Tony, who were always there for me. And with all my bombardments, they were able to accommodate me. And the learning curve was steep, but thankfully we were able to scale through. So the mentorship I got from Muthama and Tony was amazing, and is one of the contributing factors to my success and to the success of the PhD at large. So it's my pleasure to receive this honor, and looking forward to doing more of this amazing adventure of research with the team at UCT. So thank you so much.
You're on mute, Glenys.
Got about 3 messages telling me. Thank you. Yeah, so congratulations once again, Daniel, and very, very well done. It's certainly a prestigious award. You can be very proud of it, and so can your supervisors. So well done.
Thank you.
So now we have a medal, and we need to get it to you. You're in Nigeria now, are you not?
Yes, I'm in Nigeria.
Okay, so we're gonna get Muthama and Tony to help us get the medal to you if we can
Thank you.
recognize that. Okay.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now we'll move on to our second award. The second medal is our silver medal. The silver and the gold medal are both medals that honor and recognize outstanding research and or other contributions to plant sciences or botany in South Africa. Excuse me. And it gave me great pleasure to announce that the 2022 SAAB silver medalist is none other than our own Professor Ed Witkowski from the University of the Witwatersrand. And I have Ed right here next to me. Ed, you can bring your chair round. So it's wonderful to be able to hand it over to you in person in a moment or two. And I will hand over now to his nominator, Professor Kevin Borkel, who has a few words to say as well. So over to you, Kevin. Okay, so over to Kevin.
Thank you. Yes, so Ed UCT and completed that in 1988. He then did a number of postdocs and joined shortly thereafter as a lecturer, and I've had the pleasure of having him as a colleague for all of these years, and a little disturbed that he's actually retired recently. I thought that would happen, but I'm sure Ed will continue to work with us. I checked on the Web of Science to do this proposal, and Ed journal publications 39 in the web, 5,000 citations in all. In addition to that, he's got 8 book chapters and 19 conferences published. He works in a very wide range of topics, which ecology in various biomes, conservation of endangered plants and ecosystems, ecology, invasive alien plants and their impacts on ecosystem structure and function, in restoration ecology, and in natural resource management. Ed has been a member of 18 professional societies, refereed for 88 journals over his career, and referee takes a lot of time, very thankless task. So to do that, Ed has been a member of SAAB since 1984, so that's 37 years, and he's contributed by serving on council, by being on the editorial board at some or other stage, and he and his students have actually participated and presented many papers at SAAB, and for some of those they have won presentations. Supported the South African Journal of Botany by publishing in our journal. Excellent teacher at undergrad, honors, and postgraduate levels, and he is renowned for his interesting, challenging, and statistically rigorous courses. And he provides his students with really good hands-on experience, empowers them for going into their working career. Now, one thing that particularly stands out for me in what Ed has done has been his contribution to Protea rupelli subspecies Hamiltoni. And people thought this was an absolutely lost cause when Ed began. I went out with him once to have a look at the plants, and there were these proteas chewed off with leaves that were at most 2 centimeters long in these tiny little rosettes, and the bushbuck and duiker just kept and chewing. And we had discussions about what it might that was impacting these plants, and whether it was about their reproduction and pollination and so on. This was our first field trip. But once we saw them, we knew it was the impact of the browsers. And Ed has worked on that, and the to where those individuals grew into reproducing. Seeds were collected, seeds have been germinated, and plants have been planted back into the environment and now become a very viable population, and that species future has dramatically turned around by the work of Ed, his students, and his colleagues. He has successfully supervised a total of 67 master's students and 29 PhD students, which makes a total of 96. He has 9 current students, so he is aiming to reach his century of students soon, which is than that. And then what it is very good at students. So I'm one of them, Emmanuel Loga, who wrote up his thesis as a series of. And Ed loves data and Ed loves processing data, and he imparts this love to his students. So Emmanuel Loga collected a wealth of data, and then papers that were chapters were presented to various journals. They would have a, well, this is very interesting, but what we want is this part, because this paper is way too big. So that was excised out, published in that journal, and then something would be made of what was left, and that would be passed on to another journal. So there are 8 papers in international journals that came out from the. Wits presented him in 2018 with the Faculty of Science in postgraduate supervision, because that is something in which Ed has really excelled and done extremely well. So he's a wonderful colleague, he's a fantastic co-supervisor to work with, and he's very generous in his time, his knowledge, and his skills to his and the students of his colleagues. And so I think he is a very worthy recipient of the SAAB Silver Medal.
Thank you, Kevin. And I'm actually going to hand this over to Ed now. And just also say that I've been privileged to work alongside Ed in supervising students, and I can affirm everything that Kevin has said. Ed is an inspiring, encouraging supervisor. He's experienced, knowledgeable researcher, and this is very, very well deserved, Ed. And I'll give you a virtual hug. There we go, and well done. Congratulations.
Well,
that's super.
Thank you so much. There it is, yeah.
Back to front,
but anyway, yeah, no, thanks very much indeed, SAAB, for the medal. Looks wonderful. It's a big, heavy medal. And thanks so much, Kevin, for all those kind words. I feel I'm almost tongue-tied to respond to something like that, but thank you so much. And you've been a great colleague as well, and so has Glynis. And thank you, SAAB, for bestowing this medal to me. And yeah, I've been at SAAB for a long time. I can't believe it. In fact, I think the first meeting I went to was at Wits. We snuck in. They said, you can sneak into the poster session without registering. So we did. Anyway, nobody gets to get a medal like this, a silver medal, without many people who have helped them along the way. So I think way back to my student days at Wits, and I think who was my supervisor? Well, for my third year project, honours project, and master's project, it was Brian Walker, who influenced me a great deal. And thank you, Brian. And then I moved to UCT, and then I did a PhD after working there for a bit. And Derek Mitchell was my main supervisor. But then with help from Eugene Moll, of course, Willie Stock, and then Richard Cowling as well, with a short postdoc there. And then I moved to Australia for a postdoc, and Byron Lamont was a wonderful individual who helped me a great deal. And we did some fantastic work. And that was also a huge influence. So when I finally got back to South Africa and started again at Wits, then of course I have to say that my life was made easier, or the starting was smoothed over by Kevin and Glynis and many, many staff members in the old botany department. And then we formed APES, the School of Apes, and that continued. So botanists and zoologists. And then over all the years, all the wonderful students we've had, Kevin mentioned Emmanuel Luoga, who certainly was one of the highlights. And there are many others from north of the border, but also South Africans at all levels, coursework masters, PhDs, and a few postdocs. And it was really a privilege to be associated with them. There might be one or two who weren't quite of that standard, but that's what happens sometimes. But on the whole, one has to say that we really do have very good students at WITS, and it's a privilege actually to be able to supervise them. So thanks again, SAAB. It's really wonderful to get this silver medal. I feel very privileged.
Here we go, back to that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Ed. And once again, very well deserved and congratulations. All right. Thank you, Kevin, as well. So then finally, the most prestigious award of them all, the SAAB Gold Medal. And this is the Premier Award for Botany in South Africa. It's awarded on the grounds of outstanding research in the field and contributions to the advancements of botany, plant sciences, or related disciplines. And it gives me great pleasure to announce that Professor Brian Huntley is our gold medalist for 2022. Congratulations, Brian. We're very pleased to be able to honor you in this way. I'm hoping he can also join us on stage. And Professor Huntley was jointly nominated by Professors William Bond, Richard Cowling, and the late Bob Scholes. I know that Bob was very proud of the SAAB Gold Medal that he received in 2020, and he would have been thrilled that their nomination of Brian was successful. So I'd like to now call on Professor William Bond to say a few words about Brian. And then we'll play a recording from Professor Richard Cowling, who couldn't be here this afternoon. So is Brian able to come on stage? Angela? Ah, yes, lovely. Brian, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks.
a wonderful achievement and very, very well deserved. And William's going to tell us now exactly why it's so well deserved. Over to you.
Well, it's a great honor, and I'm absolutely delighted to say that our nomination for Brian Huntley has gone through, and he will receive the gold medal. Brian has been in botany for 50 years, and so it's impossible to cover all his achievements in that time. So the way we sort of split it is that Richard Cowling has talked about his guidance and his achievements during the years he was working with CSIR, setting up the biome programs that still exist today. And I thought I'd just talk about his time from 1990 to 2007, when he headed up SANBI and Kirstenbosch, the whole National Botanic Garden system in South Africa. It was a time of incredible growth and excitement. The country was exciting. It was the 1990s. We were all looking forward to a new South Africa with all the constraints and difficulties and opportunities that it provided. And SANBI at that time represented the best that South Africa could offer. You felt just fantastic if you were in that system and that organization. Kirstenbosch itself was revitalized, along with all the National Botanic Gardens. There was a new energy in there. There was new buildings went up. Suddenly we had private-public partnerships we couldn't believe, with money flowing in from private people to put up buildings and to assist and aid botanical work. And the opening up of the National Botanic Gardens happened to everyone, to all people. I remember the famous Kirstenbosch bus bringing children in from the Cape Flats who walked around wide-eyed, seeing our heritage, our beautiful garden. And countrywide, our botanic gardens have grown a new generation of people fascinated by plants and wanting to contribute. So what a great contribution to professional botany. Then the various precursors of SAAB have long been involved in botanical research of one kind or another. What Brian did was to say, what are these guys up to? What is the research for? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And you know, for researchers, that's like herding cats. It's a very difficult thing to do. And he asked people their opinion of what they should be doing and why they were doing it, and got blank stares. So he came up with this brilliant vision, and he is a man of visions, and remarkably, a man who's capable of making those visions reality. And his vision was that the research should be serving the international conventions to which South Africa is a signatory. So that, it sounds quite dry, right? But that led to climate change convention and Guy Midgley's unit, which has produced some of the finest climate change research you can find anywhere, and led to botanists still becoming the most influential scientific group influencing climate change policy in South Africa. Crazy, but out of an idea. It led to SAAB, a botanical research institute, taking over the national analysis of desertification. It led to the threatened species program and the involvement of citizen science in the form of CREW, one of the most successful attempts to engage with threatened species you can find anywhere in the world, and a model that other countries have looked at with envy. It led to things like Machina and Rutherford's Vegetation of Southern Africa, which has proved a remarkably productive product, which leads into all kinds of useful aspects of research. In terms of systematics, he initiated SAAB amongst 10 Southern African countries. He speaks fluent Portuguese, so he had good connections in Angola and Mozambique, and continues to this day to work closely with colleagues in Angola, Portugal, and less so in Mozambique. But SAAB bringing together impoverished and poorly resourced herbaria from these 10 Southern African countries gave an enormous boost to systematics and our understanding of plant diversity. So you may wonder why you're doing what you're doing, or what's considered important, or you know, you want the freedom to do your research, but research must contribute in some way to the country, to society, and to the world. And Brian Huntley's ability to see the national needs and the international location for where that research should be has done us all proud. We box way above our weight. And I give great thanks to Brian Huntley for his ability to have the ideas, to have the vision, and to have the capability and the governance to put it all off. We owe you a huge debt. Brian, I'm delighted with your gold medal. Thank you.
Sorry, my mic was off. So once again, well done, Brian. And I just wanted to second everything that William said, that this is very, very well deserved. Are we going to play the recording now, Angela? And then we've got a picture of Richard Cowling if we want to put it up, but it means everyone goes off stage again. So perhaps we must just play the recording. Oh, okay. There we go. We can stay on stage. We're not hearing anything at this stage.
Brian Huntley's impact on Southern African botany has been enormous. There's not enough time to elaborate on all aspects of his formidable legacy. I mean, one thinks of what he did in Sanby, his huge outreach programs in Southern Africa, Sabanet, his work in Angola, and so on and so forth. But here I'm just going to say a few words about the biome-based research programs that he implemented that lifted, I think, or I'm sure, it lifted South African plant ecology out of the doldrums it was in by the early 1970s. Brian spearheaded the formation of the cooperative scientific programs within the CSIR, and between 1970 and 1989 implemented these programs. And they were underpinned by collaboration across institutions, disciplines, and research cultures. And he did this at a time when interdisciplinarity and learning organizations were not buzzwords. They hadn't even entered into the ecological discourse. So we've got to think now of the Savannah, Grassland and Karoo biome projects that Brian initiated. And all of these now have successor organizations, Fynbos Forum, Arid Land Forum, that continue to spark collaborative projects to these days. Brian recruited into these programs a core of young researchers who went on to become leaders in their own right. Think of Bond, Scholes, Richardson, Stock, Milton, Esler, Hoffman, and even myself. Using his vast, he facilitated the exposure of these youngsters to some of the best ecologists in the world at that time. Harold Mooney, Martin Cody, Peter Grubb, Ray Specht, and others. The net result was that by the early 1990s, South Africa was punching way above its weight in plant ecology. It still does. Thank you, Brian. This award is richly deserved.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks, Richard, in your absence. And so, Brian, over to you, and congratulations. And you have the medal. You can show us if you've got it next to you.
Yeah. Well, there it is. And
Super.
Thanks very much, Glynis. Thanks, William. Thanks, Richard. And thanks to all the colleagues and friends I've had over the years in the SAAB family. I can't recall when I joined SAAB. I think it must have been its initial years, which goes back some time. And it was a vibrant organization that enthused a lot of young biologists, even though it was at that stage kind of dominated by the senior researchers in a way which had to be changed. And I think one of the things that changed within the Savannah project was the day that some of the young researchers learned to be able to speak to their professors on first name terms, and breaking down that cultural barrier that we had between the leaders and the followers. But what I want to emphasize in my response of thanks for this honor is that there's no greater tribute that one can receive than the recognition by one's peers. And to have three peers of the stature of William, Richard, and our dear late friend Bob include me in their nomination is perhaps the biggest tribute that I feel today. I was wanting to give a little discourse about what lessons I've learned over the last 60 years. William, my first professional appointment in botany was in 1962, when I started as a herbarium assistant in the Natal Herbarium. And just as a little kind of jest, I had received and kept the initial letter that I received from Miss Johnson, Sheila Johnson, who was the curator, after my first month in 1962, July, during this university vacation. And she sent me a check. She said, no doubt you'll be pleased to find the attached check for 56 Rand 61 cents. How nice to be rich again. So that was the start, a very profitable start. So 56 Rand a month. I mean, that was a good salary in those days. We don't kind of recognize that in that time, 1962, University Natal fees were 400 Rand a year. So 40 Rand a month and getting 56 Rand for a month's work was a good return on investment. Anyway, what I have perhaps learned over the years that I think I can communicate to the younger SAAB members who are listening in, hopefully, is a number of guiding thoughts that come from the people that have made such an important transformation in science and in botany particularly over the years. And of course, one's got to start with Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, when he was a young man of 22, he left on the Beagle and he went around, circumnavigated the world, and he kept a journal. And when he finished writing up the journal, when he got back to the UK, he said something that I found very, very pertinent. He said, in conclusion, it appears to me that nothing can be more improving to a young naturalist than a journey in distant countries. The effect ought to be to teach one good human patience, freedom from selfishness, the habit of acting for oneself, and making the best of every occurrence. I think that's a pretty good piece of wisdom for young scientists, and I commend the idea. I was very fortunate, and in looking at the background to my good fortune has been one of three rules that I'll just mention this afternoon. The first rule is that of good luck and good timing. And I happen to manage to have some features of that, because when I was a schoolboy, I was introduced to Ian Garland, a farmer up the Zululand coast in Tunzini. And he was a passionate botanist, self-educated, self-trained, one of the best tree horticulturists I've met. He took me up to Ngoya Forest. And for my school years, high school years and early years of the university, it was possible to hitchhike up to Ngoya, collect plants across the hills and send them off to the National Herbarium. And there, those lovely ladies, Miss Obermeyer, Miss Verdoen, Mrs. van Hoorpen, and others would rapidly assemble my collections, identify them adequately, and send me back a list. And all of that was done within a period of a month. I needed no permits. I needed no paperwork. I needed no payment. I had no CBD restrictions strangling my efforts. And best of all, the post office worked. I could take my boxes of plants down to a little trading store in the Zululand hills, and the owner of the trading store would take them to Mpingeni and put them in the post, and they'd go to Pretoria within 2 days for free. The National Herbarium had this wonderful system for botanists to send them botanical material from anywhere in the country, and it would arrive and would get named, and you'd be able to get on with your life. I believe I learned more botany in my days in the field than I did at university, thanks to what later became my institution, Botanical Research Institute and NBI. Anyway, that's just one little feature of good luck and good timing. When I got back from Marion, I was fortunate enough, after a couple of years of further study, being invited to apply for the position of ecologist in Angola's national parks. And that was in 1970. We were able, my wife and I, were able to get to Angola, travel 100,000 kilometers across the country from north to south, east to west, and basically explore the country in a way and in a relative comfort, if one could describe it as such, which one can't do today. 50 years later, you can't travel around Angola with the ease and sense of security, even though there was some activity on the go, but we could do that. And that experience came out of a chance meeting between two friends that concluded, the Portuguese administrator concluded they needed an ecologist in Angola because they'd seen a great one, my dear friend Ken Tinley in Gorongosa. And so that was a bit of good luck and good timing, because I was sort of fed up with studies, so we went there. However, the table turned and the civil war started, and I left Angola in a column of 10,000 refugees and arrived in Pretoria just at the moment that Brian Walker and Graham Noble were putting together the Savannah Ecosystem Project. And they said, well, this guy looks as though he's probably looking for a job, he's out of work. Let's give him this job. And so I joined there. And again, you know, these sort of little moments of serendipity, of meetings. I wasn't looking for the job, but the job happened to be there. We had a marvelous development program there with the, as Richard has mentioned, and as William has pointed out, it was a great period for growth in ecology in South Africa, because we were able to invite and get some of the top leaders in the field of conservation botany and conservation ecology, as it was an emerging science, to come. Jared Diamond, Al Mooney, we had about 20 top leaders that interacted, as Richard said, with young science. It was a wonderful road for international collaboration, but also for inspiration and for putting young researchers onto a track, a career path, from which they never looked back. Let me think. I wanted to say something else about good luck and good timing, but I don't want to take up your time at this moment. I'll just talk about the process of thinking globally and acting locally. William mentioned that. Through the connection with the Scientific Committee on the Problems of the Environment, SCOPE, an international committee, which brought together environmental scientists from around the world to look at big science like the BIOM programs that started in the United States and Germany and Norway and Britain. And that thinking of looking big, but starting small, was very important in putting together things like the Savannah Project, and then the Fynbos Project, the Grassland Project. And it was all based on one concept that Hal Mooney articulated at a meeting I remember in about 1978. And he said, gentlemen, you know, we, as an international organization, we're working in many directions, and some of them are not very profitable. What we should be doing is to deal with and research environmental problems that lend themselves to solution through international collaborative multidisciplinary research. And that was the basis of these SCOPE and CSP programs in South Africa, where there was a good solid global reason for looking at environmental problems that could only be resolved by interdisciplinary research. And when you think of invasive species, fire ecology, threatened species, you know, the dynamics of landscapes and matters of desertification, like Tim Hoffman had done. And that ball just rolled on. But it was based on that fundamental principle of tackling problems which have a particular susceptibility to solution through collaborative research. The second part of that thinking globally and acting locally was when in 1990 the world changed, when Nelson Mandela was released and democracy came to South Africa, because it meant we could participate in international programs which we had never previously been able to go into. The Convention on Biological Diversity, the International Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Convention on Desertification. These opened up new insights into the problems viewed from many quarters of the world. On top of that, we had the Global Environmental Facility, this $1 billion a year at that stage budget, up to now $5 billion a year, going into environmental projects, which fed the money into all sorts of programs in South Africa. South Africa has probably benefited per capita in terms of the science results out of GEF funding far ahead of any other country. And that's because we had the framework of projects like the Fynbos project. They went into the Cape project, the Grasslands project, and all these biome projects, bioregional programs could build on these international thoughts and processes. The last lesson or last message that I want to communicate is about not reinventing the wheel. One tends to research perhaps in a silo in some respects, and dive so deep as a young scientist into the detail that one misses the bigger picture. And the importance of reading the history of science should not be underestimated. The history of science, the writings of those who have come before us. And I think South African botanists need to read Sparman, what Sparman said in 1775. You know, I was exposed to pasture scientists in Natal, a whole flood of them, Scott, Tainton, many others, that were troubled by things like selective grazing. Sparman described the processes of selective grazing and felt degradation in 1775. He understood these interactions between overgrazing and grassland species composition in response to various weather aspects, response to invasive species. That was Sparman. You know, William Burchell, in his travels in Southern Africa from 1811, he describes the ecology of the Karoo as best anybody could see it. But more than that, he went for a walk up a hill outside of Bishop's Court, and he looked across the mountain, and he said in 1811 that a national botanical garden should be established there at Kirstenbosch. It was over a century before it was established, but Burchell was the man that thought about that. And then finally, on another theme that is enjoying so much attention now, you know, natural capital and ecological services. William McOwen in 1875 described the phenomenon of natural capital and how nature's services interact together, like a farmer going to his bank to get financing and how he finances farm. William McGowan made this comparison way back then, you know, way back then, nearly 150 years ago. And so I would encourage all young botanists to read these founders of ecology and botany in Africa. And it draws me to a point which another great ecologist who sadly died just last month, Edward Wilson. Edward Wilson wrote in 1992. He was a phenomenon. Ed Wilson was a phenomenon as an ecologist, as a thinker, as a philosopher. And he said, "We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, people who are able to put together the right information at the right time, think critically about it, and make important choices wisely." And that message is quite important. I think in our haste to get more detail, we can miss the opportunity to synthesize what we already have. And the early days of the biome projects, we did a lot of syntheses. We brought out those volumes on fire ecology, invasive species, biodiversity, et cetera, and that was a good starting point. But that momentum needs to be continued so that the young students can get straight into what is known at the general level rather than the detail of the specific. And I've had the good fortune over the last 10 years to become associated with the University of Porto in Portugal because of my Angolan connections, and with the backing of the University of Porto and with colleagues in Angola, we brought out the third textbook now on the ecology of Angola is coming out and published in Portuguese in a free online version, so that Angolan students who have absolutely no access to any ecological text, any biodiversity text in Portuguese will now have this. So that's where my interest is currently, and I came upon a bit of advice from Philip Tobias. I just happened upon his autobiography a couple of days ago, and he writes this brilliant autobiography, Philip Tobias being, you know, the guru of archaeology and paleoecology in South Africa. And as he headed to retirement, sadly, he passed away about 10 years ago. He was talking about retirement. I retired 10 years ago, and Tobias says, retirement is only for those who still have things to do, books to read and write, travels to travel, etc. And this is very true. I think if you retire and you aren't doing things, reading, writing, traveling, you know, working with young people, you die early. And so it's something to be avoided. Okay, I think I've said enough. I know that Glynis spoke about webinars and has suggested I can perhaps do a webinar on a less informal way that I have now about what I would call I think I titled it what works in Africa, and it's about strategic opportunism in changing times, and about how scientists, botanists, biologists, conservationists can achieve some progress in difficult times. We live in difficult times, and we want to look to the optimistic side. Then I must just conclude by saying I must acknowledge the support of my wife Merle, who's put up half a century of tolerating me, workaholic Anglophile, and eternally optimistic. Thanks very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Brian. And once again, congratulations. And I think you just demonstrated why you deserve this gold medal. I mean, really, the advice you've just given to, I hope some of the students still listening, waiting to hear if they want an award. It's just invaluable and lovely to hear of some of those opportunities that you grabbed and you made work for you. So once again, congratulations. And we look forward to your webinar. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Okay, so now let's just say hearty congratulations to all three of our SAAB members. I'm back again. I'm just about to hand over to Madeleine. Madeleine, are you here so that she can announce the prize winners of the various presentation categories? And let me in advance extend my congratulations to those prize winners, but also to every one of you who presented your research at this conference. Well done. And along with the conference organizers and Millennium support team, you have made it a great success. And my thanks to all of you. So Madeleine, over to you. I hope you can come up now.
Thank you, Glynis. I'll actually do that part. I've been requested to do that. But thank you very much for leading the association. You can see that there are great researchers in the association. And I'm sure we listened to some talks, which I think they're even synoptic. If we had a day or so, we could have listened through until maybe tomorrow. A great work is being done, fabulous. We also would like to thank the winners of the SAAB awards. I think, yes, you really deserved the awards, and they are befitting. So well done, colleagues. So now we are going to give the conference awards. So we're going to give the best honors presenter, and also the best master's presenter and the best PhD presenter. But before we do that, I would like to thank all the delegates who attended this conference, and also the presenters who also presented. You are all winners, but maybe only one will make an extra mile, then we pick from the group. But otherwise, everybody did quite well. That's why it was entertaining. I also would like to thank the organizers. I think it was quite fantastic. Despite all the challenges of the hiccups of connectivity, I think we went through very well. It's quite refreshing to finish off a conference in this manner. So to start with, I'll again call the name of I'll call the name of the winner, then I'll present the title of the presentation, and we'll ask the presenter just to give a minute comment. If the supervisor is also around, just a minute for us to be able to manage time now. So to start with, I'll announce the best honors oral presenter. Our best honors oral presenter for 2022 SAAB conference is J.M. Cobbold. And the title of the presentation was "To Be or Not to Be, Floral Rewards and Pollination Efficiency in South Africa, South African Macadamia." Right, over to you, Cobbold.
Hi there, I hope everyone can see me.
Yes, I can see you very well, and there is your certificate, because we are doing it virtual. I could have handed it over to you, but in a way, I'm giving it to you now.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. Thank you very, very much for this award. I really appreciate it, but I must say, yeah, it would not have been possible without both my supervisors, Dr. Lizzie and Dr. Lisa. Yeah, I can't even think what her surname is right now. Apologies. But yes, without both of them, they really made my honors year and the project just so much easier. And yeah, without them, I really couldn't have done it. So thanks very much, docs. And yes, congratulations to everybody else and to the previous prize winners as well.
Thank you very much, Joe. And we hope you articulate into masters and PhD.
We will see.
With this talent, and if there's any of your supervisors here to just give a brief comment, it's still fine. But if they are not around, it's okay. We can move to the next award.
I'm not sure if either of them. I think Dr. Bad is on, but I'm not sure about Lisa. Well, yeah, okay.
All right, well done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Joe. Thanks, Doc. Thank you.
Yes, I must say, Joe really kept us on our toes last year. She was an exceptional student, and it was a pleasure to have you in the lab, Joe. Very well done. Congratulations.
Thanks,
you deserve it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Thank you, colleagues. We move on to the next award. Here we are giving the best MSc oral presentation, which was won by M.M. Mushomba. And the title of the presentation is Induced Antibiotic Resistance and Staphyloxanthin as a Prospective Target for Treatment Against Pathogenic Antibiotic Resistant Staphylococci. So I call upon our Mushomba, if you are around, and one of your supervisors just to give a small word. Thank you. There is the certificate for Mushomba. Maybe give us some few seconds, probably the connectivity challenge again. If we can't, then we will proceed to the next one. If the supervisor is around, just to give a word, or the recipient. seems like maybe they are not around, or maybe the issue of connectivity is also hindering them. But nonetheless, we are happy for them, and we wish them the best. We hope Mchomba will also articulate into PhD after doing such great work. Well done. Right, so we can move on to, I see there's the supervisor is here. Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Urine. Congratulations to Martin. He had a lot of internet challenges during his talk, and I was surprised that he handled it so well, and we never expected he would win a prize. So thank you for considering that. But Martin, since he was a third-year student, was just pushing me and asking me, and he wanted to do this project, and it's not real botany. It is more microbiology rather, but this is his baby and his passion, and he has been a model student to me and in our group. So congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, and well done. All the best in your future work. Thank you. All right, colleagues, we move on to our third award. This is the best PhD oral presentation. This one was won by A. Jacquet, and the title of the presentation is Systematics of Cotula Reflections. Actually, the Systematic of Cotula, then Reflections and Challenges of Working on a Cosmopolitan Genus. If Jacquet is around, you can come forward and one of your supervisors to say one or two words, then we can proceed. I see you're coming on, that's correct, good. Well done, welcome.
I wasn't expecting to win. Thanks so much to the judges for voting for me. And I'd really like to thank my supervisors, Professor James Boatwright and Dr. Anthony McGee.
Thank you very much. Do you have any of your supervisors around? Or
hi, yes, I'm here.
Yes, I can see Prof. James Boatwright is here. Welcome, Prof.
Thank you. Yeah, well, this is wonderful. And congrats to Arifa and thanks to the organizers. Arifa has been grappling with copula since her honors. And I think the results are really fantastic. And we're now at a point, where Arifa's really reached maturity in this project. She's one of our great success stories. Also, we were talking about a shortage of taxonomists. She's a young taxonomist employed at SAAB. So she really has a wonderful career ahead of her and some excellent mentorship at SAAB as well. So congrats and thank you very much.
Thank you very much and congratulations to you, Prof, and your students. Well done. Right, colleagues, we move on to our next award, which is the fourth one. This one is actually the best speed talk. I know we experienced a lot of challenges during the speed talk. The day we did them, I think it's the day before yesterday, or if not, it's yesterday. But at least we picked something very useful there. So our winner for the best speed talk is S. Ludiki, and the title of the presentation was Vitality Evaluation of Urban Oaks, which is the Quercus robur using physiological parameters. So if Ludiki, if you're around, please come forward and one of your supervisors to say one or two words. We'll still give them a few seconds because maybe they might be struggling with the connectivity. Anyway, it looks like maybe they are still struggling, but nonetheless, in their absence, oh yes, I see the supervisor is here.
All right.
Yeah,
I just apologize for I don't have a video at the moment, but
no
I just want to congratulate Swanaya on behalf of our talk. She's always has proven to be an excellent speaker. And her project wasn't without challenges either, especially during all the heavy lockdown rules that we had, because most of the measurements that we had to do, we had to go late at night, early in the morning. So it was logistically a very difficult project to do, but she managed to do it, and she managed to do it very well. So from my side, and also from Prof. Sarelse here, we want to say congratulations.
No, thank you very much, Prof, and well done, and congratulations to you too. Right, we move on, colleagues, to our last award for the conference medals or awards. This one is the fifth one, which is the best young botanist. I think we happen to have a chance to have the previous winner in this conference. So if it was not a virtual, we're going to ask that one to present the award to the next one. So our winner for the best young botanist is LMC James. The title of the presentation is Contrasting Patterns in Flowering Phenology between Species Adapted for Pollination by Generalists compared to Specialist Flower Visiting Birds. So if James, if you're around, yeah, I can see. Well done and congratulations. If you're one of your supervisors also around, he or she can come forward and also give a small comment. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much for this award. It was really unexpected and such an honor to receive this award at my first conference ever. So thank you very, very much. And I also want to extend my thanks to my supervisor, Prof. Craig Peter from Rhodes University, for his support during my honors year, because that was the work I presented at this conference. So thank you all so very, very much. I'm really, really honored by this award.
Thank you very much. We just wait for maybe some few seconds. If one of your supervisors is around, maybe they can also make a comment. Otherwise, whilst I'm talking, if they are not in, we may move forward to the next level. But I also want to congratulate you for a wonderful presentation and the wonderful work that you did. The certificate is shown. I think there will be a way of sending these certificates to the recipients after the conference. And I like what you have said now, that all these awards, you could have not received them as students without the effort of your supervisors and even your departments and institutions, which are all supportive to make sure that you get to where you are now. So well done, and all the best in your work and maybe in your future plans. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
All right. So, colleagues, oh, there we go. I thought I saw the supervisor popping in. If the supervisor is around, you can say one or two words for your student. If not, it's fine. We can still proceed. So I would like to thank all the students who presented and who got those who got and those who didn't get the awards, and their supervisors. I think it was fantastic. We enjoyed every talk in this conference. But as you know, we can't have all people winning an award. We have to pick only one. So as we move on into the next conferences, it will be our opportunities for those who couldn't get during this year to also get something. Now we are now moved to the awards. These ones, we call them fun awards. I think you remember yesterday when I said we reopened the photo competition. So the judgments were made. So we have 3 categories there, and there's one winner in each. So the first category, which is laboratory work, which is our magnificent world, is the title of the category. The winner of that category is Henley Grobler from the University of Free State on Grand Trichome. I hope maybe we can see the picture. That is the winner there. So if Grobler is around, please, you can come and say, yeah, there is the picture. You can come and say 1 or 2 words to us. It was actually fantastic to also have this funny part in the conference. we didn't really miss that we non-virtual. We actually virtual. Actually, it was good that we felt as if we were in a room or in a hall. All the members here doing all these things. Well, welcome, Globler, and congratulations for giving us a nice picture. You can say 1 or 2 words, and if your supervisor is around, you can also, he or she can say 1 or 2 words as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. That's a glandular trichome from a Nemesia species. So it's, yeah, I really enjoyed doing the lab work, and I also thought it was a very, one of my best photos. Thank you very much.
You are most welcome, and congratulations once again, and all the best in your future work and current work as well.
You.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's the certificate. Oh, yes. Yes, that is the certificate. So we'll find a way to make it get to you, like what all other certificates will be sent to other winners. So we'll move on to the next category of the funny awards. This one is category 2, which is on field work, research in action. This one was won by Prof. It says Jik Gas from Cape Peninsula University of Technology. And the title is Catching Those Elusive Pollinators with Plant Breeding System Experiments on Honeybush in the Background. So that's the winner. So yes, Prof. Well done and congratulations. There is the picture. So you can say 1 or 2
Thank
words.
you very much. Background there. Yeah, maybe I just use the opportunity to thank the conference organizers, also for this initiative, allowing us to share some pictures of the field work. I think it's great that we can share this. And this is actually, it's not me in the picture, but it's work from my master student, Kirsten Shaw, on Honeybush, who gave a presentation in this conference. And I think I owe her the picture because she was driving to do this project, or getting it done, and working on. She really wanted to work on Honeybush, and yeah, it's been a privilege and really lovely to work on Honeybush, and that's where this photo comes from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. And there's the certificate, and oh, is the student around? That's fine.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, please, yeah. So we'll give the award to you.
Oh, no, Sam, no, that's definitely Prof's work. He's definitely great behind the camera, but thank you so much, Prof, for, yeah, giving it to me.
No, well done for doing such fantastic work, and keep on the spirit, and we wish you the best in your current work and future work as well.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Okay. Right, colleagues, we move to our last award, which is category 3 of the photo shooting, of photo competition. This is proudly South African, spectacular endemic flora. So this one was won by again, this one is Prof. Jik Gets from Cape Peninsula University, again, Cape Peninsula University of Technology. The title is A Fly Being Fooled. A fly dusted in pollen whilst visiting a Ferrari crisp flower. That is the title. So welcome back, Prof.
Thank you very much, and apologies, Nia, you have to struggle with that. Yeah, so this is plant Ferraria crispa, pollinated by flies, and this is work from another student of mine working on the restoration, Landi Low, doing restoration in urban reserves here in the city of Cape Town. And once again, I had the opportunity to go with it to the field, and while she was doing the work, counting pollinators and hand pollinating flowers, doing all of those hard things in the field, I could sit back and try and get some good photographs of pollinators on. So this one is thanks to Landi Low. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. That is fantastic. I think at the moment we're finished with all our hours. it's also the time that I need to take to thank all the delegates who attended this conference from all corners of the world. And it was a fantastic week for us. All our speakers, all our chairs, I think it was perfect. But I also would not like to forget the judges. I didn't mention anything because I wanted to finish off with the hours. For us to get these hours, there were people who were behind the scenes, who were busy listening at the same time, trying to judge who is best in this category and all that. So they've been doing that all the way from Monday until today, and they came up with their choices, and we respect whatever they did. This is why we got our winners. And at the same time, I think the technical team, you did quite fantastic. I was in a WhatsApp group that we've been talking while this was busy, running the conference, and we managed to handle the conference quite well. So thank you very much to the president of SAAB and the council members and all the members of the association. I wish you all the best when we move off from this conference and we go back to our labs and do our work that we are going to continue with, hoping that we'll meet again in the next conference to continue with the good work that we've done here. So from my side, as the chair, I was actually happy for these 4 days, and I think it was fantastic for all of us. So if there are no any other announcement made from the technical team or the organizing team or the president, I think we can then close the conference. Thank you very much.